Welcome to Buckets, brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. My name's Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. This is your NBA Finals, Celtics Mavericks Game 1 Best Bets episode. We will give you best bets on Game 1 of the Finals. We'll break down where our tools in the Action Network app, which you can subscribe to in the app, tell us where this game is at. We'll get all that taken care of for you. You can find this show on podcast. We do appreciate you giving us those 5-star reviews. Let us know in the chat what you think of the show. If you're on youtube.com/the Action Network, that'd be great. Let us know your best bets in the comments. Hit me in the comments on YouTube for who you think wins the series, what your best bet is for the NBA Finals. We are going to be live on Buckets at the end of Game 1. I think we're actually going to start it during the fourth quarter, so we can kind of like live bet it there, and then we'll immediately react to post-game as the Game 2 lines come out after Game 1 Thursday night. Make sure to go to youtube.com/the Action Network. I'll have the link on Twitter. Make sure to check that out as well. I've got Jay Money and Jim Turvey with me. Jay Money's on Twitter and in the Action Network app and on his YouTube channel at Jay Money is Money. I've got Jim Turvey with me. He's at Turvey Bets. You can find him on the WNBA Buckets channel as well. Let's do best bets for Game 1, boys. The Dallas Mavericks are 6.5-point dogs in Boston for Game 1. Total on this game, 214.5. Jay, what do you like in Game 1?
So my absolute best bet is going to be Tatum to get 7+ rebounds in each game. I do have another. I do like him over his assists as well, but my best bet, which pertains to every single game, is Tatum to get 7+ rebounds in each game of the NBA Finals.
Okay, and in Game 1, your specific best bet is?
It's on the assist, but over Tatum over assist. But my bestest bet, even though it's not just the Game 1, is the Tatum 7+ rebounds each game.
Okay, Jay loves 7+ rebounds every game. You can find that in the market. Go hammer that right now. Jim, what do you like for Game 1?
My favorite bet is fourth quarter under 51.5. I also like the Celtics on the spread, and I like Celtics first half full game combo parlay.
Okay, I bet Celtics minus 5.5 at open. I bet them again at 6. It's at 6.5. I think that's fine. I like this anywhere to 8. I also like the over 214. We'll start working on a parlay for this. Jay, let's start right here on the Tatum stuff. So we'll start with the rebounds since you like that so much. I actually have some concerns about this because in the regular season matchups, what the Mavericks chose to do was they still played kind of the same way they always do. What Boston did, though, was Boston pre-switched. They put Tatum on Lively or Gafford and had him defend those centers so that if Luka or Kyrie pulls up that center and puts them in a pick and roll, Tatum just switches it. So it negates your ability to run 1-5, and the rest of their screeners aren't as good. So if Tatum's matched up on Lively or Gafford, as much as Tatum is huge, I'm still concerned about him being able to get his usual allotment of rebounds if he's matched up on centers, having to box him out. I showed some clips on this in one of the posts that I've got up to talk about matchups. Tatum will help over a little bit, and that means on the weak side, Lively or Tatum or Gafford, rather, are wide open, so they can either hit lobs or they can get these offensive rebounds. There was a bunch of offensive rebounds that Gafford and Lively were able to get because of those sequences. Why do you like Tatum to have such a good rebounding series here?
Well, first off, he's had 8 or more rebounds in every single game in the playoffs. I think Tatum is I think he's the absolute matchup nightmare for the Mavs. I think that's the one thing that I try to find in a series, in an NBA series. Like, who's a matchup nightmare for the other team? And I think the books, like, they know that Tatum, I mean, he obviously is favored to win Finals MVP. He's favored to have the most rebounds in the series as well. I think this is going to be a huge Tatum series. I don't care whether he's guarding Gafford, Lively, or PJ Washington. I do think that it's going to be PJ Washington, just me personally, because this obviously isn't the regular season. It's all about matchups, and things could change from game to game as well. But 7+ rebounds, I even like for him to get 8+ rebounds as well. So if you're listening to this and you have to take 8+, I like that as well. A little bit better price, but 7+, obviously, still at +170 is a great look in this one. And I think Tatum's been hunting the rebounds. Like I say, he's had double-digit rebounds in almost every game. There's only a couple that he had 8 or 9 as well. But Tatum, I expect him to absolutely cook. Obviously, he's a 6'10" player. The Celtics know, man, like they've been teetering on a win in the NBA Finals. They know that this is their time. You can kind of argue that it's been an easy schedule, whatever, man. I think they know what the task at hand is, and I expect Tatum to get his rebound. I expect him to get at least one triple double in this finals as well. I think Tatum absolutely cooks the Mavericks here. We know that they got Brown, Holiday, Porzingis, all that, but I know what you're saying in the regular season, Matt, but this is the finals here, and obviously the game slows down. I don't care if it's Lively or Gafford. I still like Tatum to get 7+ rebounds in every game.
Okay, fair enough. By the way, to kind of give credence to what Jay's saying on the every game line, Tatum to record 7+ rebounds, yes, at BetMGM, if you include that as part of a same game parlay, is minus 1,600. So in game one, they're saying that it's minus 1,600 for him to get 7. Now, obviously, like, you multiply that by however many, like, he has one game where he has 3 rebounds or whatever, and that can nuke this bet. But especially depending on where you think that this series is going to go, if you like Boston, then I think you want it to be a shorter series, quite honestly. And so I think that there's like a lot of value there. I totally get that. Let's talk about assists here. Is this just more of like, he's a matchup nightmare and they can't really do anything to stop him, and that's why you like the assists here as well?
Yeah, I think that he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot more. I know that Jrue Holiday is the point guard. We know that Derek White can run point as well, but I think Jason Tatum with him, like whether it's PJ Washington, Lively, or Gafford guarding him, like I say, they don't really have a really great matchup for him. Now, obviously, we have to see, because we still have to see game one, have to see who they put on him. Could possibly be Derek Jones Jr., because we don't know who he's the best defensive guy for the Mavs. He's either going to be on Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, but I would actually like it more if Derek Jones Jr. was guarding him, because then that would make Tatum defer more to passing. But Tatum has been doing this all offseason, all postseason, and even close towards the end of the regular season as well. Just kind of hunting triple doubles, doing everything. Like, he doesn't really score as much, but he's going after the rebounds, he's going after assists as well. That's just something I noticed from Tatum, trying to make like a little late MVP push. Obviously, it didn't happen, but I like for him to be the do-it-all guy for the Celtics in this one, where he can score at all 3 levels. But I think mainly the assists are going to come, especially if Derek Jones Jr. is on him, because obviously he's a really tough defender. That's going to force Tatum to be even more of a facilitator, which is going to hurt the Mavs even more, in my opinion, because now you don't have Derek Jones. Now you take away Derek Jones Jr., and now Holiday can free up. Now Derek White can free up Porzingis and Jaylen Brown as well. So I will put a little something on his over 5.5 assists for game one. And I did bet a prop as well, Matt. This was like so you can get Tatum to record 4.5 assists in each game at plus. It started out at plus 625. It went down to plus 500, but that's also a bet I like as well. I do like for him to be a really great facilitator in this series.
Nice look from Jay there. I agree. The Derek Jones Jr. thing, actually, I think that that increases his plays on assists, but I think it for the opposite reasons you do. DJJ is a really good perimeter defender versus Anthony Edwards because he's bigger than Ant, and he was able to defend him adequately. DJ absolutely gets smothered by Tatum. The matchup data suggests that, and a lot of it is Derek Jones Jr. is a really good perimeter defender. He is garbage in the post. Tatum's one of the most efficient post-up scorers in the NBA playoffs this season, and the Celtics run a surprising amount of post-ups, mostly because they isolate a lot. So he's going to back down Derek Jones Jr., and the Mavs, even though they don't want to, if he cooks there, then they're going to have to send help, and that means easy passes for Tatum to be able to find assist opportunities out of those double teams. I'm not saying that Tatum is Jokic here, but I am saying that this is a very good opportunity. If they try DJ on Tatum, then I like Tatum's over on assists because they'll have to send doubles. If they put PJ on him, I'm a little bit more worried about that play just because I think PJ's got the length to be able to be like, I'm going to make you live with contested jumpers. And Tatum likes taking contested jumpers, so I'm a little bit worried about that, but we'll see how that goes. Jim, all right, so I'm very curious on this fourth quarter one. Let's start there.
Can I start just by saying that how much I love Jay's bets as well, and that I'm very much aligned with those. We talked about the series props. Jay, I want to see if you're interested in this too. The family dinner we had there was Brandon, me, and Joe all going in. Tatum to get a double-double every game, you can get it plus 1,600. It's kind of like the escalated version of that, because I've noticed in the postseason what the Celtics have done really well, and it's to your point that they really like him in that facilitator role. So the bigs are boxing out. They're creating space for Tatum to get that rebound because they want him to grab and go. So his rebound numbers are higher. His assist numbers are higher. I'm with you on both of those. Do you like all the way to the top floor, the double-double every game at plus 1,600?
Yeah, I'll sprinkle a little some on that as well. And obviously, you guys moved the line. I saw it down to plus 1,500, but it's definitely worth a sprinkle as a long shot bet. And you nailed it right there. That's one of the main. That's one of the things that I did forget to say. Tatum can bring the ball up the floor, so that's a lot different. Like if once he gets the rebound, all right, Porzingis can already get a head start up the floor. Al Horford, everyone can get a head start up the floor because, like you said, they're kind of just letting him get the rebound and then bring the ball up the floor. So I think that's really great. And yeah, I could definitely see that happening. Him getting a double double in every single game. And like I say, I believe his last 9 games. I know every game, so every game versus the Pacers, every game versus the Cavs as well. He had double digit rebounds. And obviously it's easy for him to get double digit scoring as well. So I mean, I think it's very possible. I think those odds should be like maybe plus 800, plus 900, plus 15 or 1,600 is that's enough for me to put some on there for sure.
All right. Okay. Again, I'm concerned with the pre We'll see if I'm right or if you're right. Irby, give me the fourth quarter cap right now.
Yeah, so the Celtics I kind of stumbled across this. The Celtics have been a fourth quarter under juggernaut the last 2 seasons. So last year they were 30, or I'll flip it to the under in the positive light. They're 66 and 36. Their unders hit at that they hit 66 hits, 36 misses. This season during the regular season, it was 52 and 29, and in the postseason is 10 and 4. And I'm not the biggest trends guy. I don't usually come on here giving trends, but if I can kind of think okay, why is this? And there's some logic to it, then I'll kind of come around to a trend. And if we're now talking a sample of 150 games here in the last 2 seasons with a relatively similar iteration of this team. And I think what it is twofold. Games that are blowouts are more likely to have fourth quarter unders. We just know that's like when there are blowouts, it skews towards the under because the pace slows down and bench players come on and offense drops off. That's just something that has held true. So they are in many blowouts because of their 3-point variance, and they're a good team. The other side of this, and maybe more relevant for this series, is that their clutch time offense is not the best out there. I talked about this in our series preview, especially against Western Conference teams. Their clutch offense really has not been that great. However, their clutch defense is absolutely incredible. So you really have 2 roads to this. You can have the blowout game that blowouts go unders for fourth quarters, or you can have the really tight game in which the offenses get tight and we suddenly see, really good defense, ugly offense, almost like a game set. We always see that in game 7s where the last 5 minutes of the game, there's no scoring because even that one All-Star game where we had the Elam ending, that when it gets really tight, the scoring does drop off. So Boston kind of gives you 2 routes to this fourth quarter under, and the result is an absolutely insane hit rate over the last 2 seasons. So this is kind of a blind bet. There is logic to it, but you don't have to look at for like a specific number. Right now it is 51.5 in the market, but it's something that against the closing number has held true for 2 seasons at a really nice hit rate for the Celtics.
Okay. No, here's the thing. He's got like a really good cap on it, right? Like this season, it's 10 and 4 to the under, and he's right on the 3-point variance, leading to either a blowout. I am a little bit like, do we have numbers on blowouts in terms of the unders, Jim? Because anecdotally, that feels wrong to me. Because in my experience, I've had a lot of unders get blown because I was right on a cap of the defense shutting down the opponent. And then garbage time is 2 teams of young guys running up and down the floor and jacking up threes.
I don't have the exact number, but I do know that the general rule is that if a game is going to be a blowout, you look for the fourth quarter under.
Okay. All right. I think I get it from the perspective of like it's slowing down, but my experience is just kind of the opposite, where it's like, well, it doesn't really matter if we let them run. Like we don't need to slow them down because we're up by 30. Who cares? But I don't mind it. And like, again, the data is really good there. This goes against kind of my cap on the series, but I think this is an offensive series. I think this is an over series. I like the over in game 1. Yeah, I think that we're going to see a lot of 3-point shooting in this series and in this game. And I think that both teams, I think, are going to try and test the other one with transition play. And I actually think that Boston, it's another reason why I like Boston, is Boston's transition defense is way better than Dallas's. Dallas's transition defense is pretty bad. And surprisingly, they just haven't been able to really no team is able to really get downhill on them because Dallas's defense has done a good job of slowing their side down and then scoring on the other end. I like the over in general for this game but the fourth quarter under makes me nervous here. So I'm kind of like thinking if I like, let me ask you that. If I like the over here and you like the fourth quarter under, should I get off of the over?
No, I actually don't think they're super tethered together. And I was actually waiting because I know Fiddle, when the number came out at 212 in the Slack, was like, oh, this is an incredibly soft number. I don't really model over under. So I was like, oh, I messaged him. I was like, is this going to go up or down? Because if it was going to go down, I wanted to try and grab that fourth quarter early. But since he thought it was the over was the look here. So he was, over on 212, which obviously it has moved up a little bit. But that's kind of the beauty when I said it's like a blind bet. The fourth quarter can really happen removed from the game total. You could try to target, a first half over specifically, but I think there's a world in which it very much you can hit the full game over and the fourth quarter under. If you look at the full game overs for Boston in the postseason, they've hit the over more often than not. But like you said, they're 10-4 to the fourth quarter under. So I don't think they're actually as tethered. Obviously, they're a little bit correlated. You could even try and get funky and cute if you wanted to. I don't know if there's same game parlays out there. They'll allow you to do a full game over and a fourth quarter under, but you definitely could do that. And you could probably throw in like an alt spread because we think like the more likely in a blowout to have it. Or if you think the other side of it's the better one, you could do a tight, like a really tight game that's over, but the fourth quarter goes under. You can get funky with it and kind of play the algorithm against itself a little bit, but I don't think you necessarily have to sit off one just for the other.
Jay, do you have a lean on the total in this game?
I lean towards the over as well. I'm right there with you. I do think 214 is a little bit low. Obviously, this is the NBA Finals and things will slow up. But the Mavs, I know that their defense has been a lot better, but I view them as if they're able to hang in this series, it has to be their offense, right? Like we know both teams are going to shoot a ton of threes. It's kind of like the NBA these days, where every game is a 3-point contest. It's like who wins the 3-point battle. But I feel like that 214.5 is a little too low. But the only thing, Matt, we've seen like when the Celtics come out and hop out in game one. What do? They're hopping all over their opponent on the defensive end. So I can see Jaylen Brown absolutely hounding Luka Doncic, which I'm hoping that that's who they start on him. But like we see these guys really try to come out and punch teams in the mouth and absolutely shut them down defensively. So that's the only thing that I don't like. But I could also see the Celtics putting up 120 points in this first game. Like obviously they're rested. They got Porzingis back. We hope that obviously if we like the Celtics, then you hope that Porzingis doesn't hurt the chemistry of the team. But I think that they've been waiting for him to get back. The way that he plays, it's not like Tatum or Brown coming back. Somebody needs the ball in their hand a lot. Porzingis is out there to defend the paint, get rebounds, and shoot some threes. You know what I'm saying? So I do feel like if I had to bet the total, Matt, I said all that to say I would take the over 214.5.
Okay. All right. Jim, so your other plays are you like first half on Celtics, is that correct? Or first quarter?
First half, the Celtics, in the postseason, it's been a little bit less of a trend, but they were arguably the best first half team in the regular season. There's 63-32 against the spread in the first half when you combine the regular season and the postseason. In the postseason, I do think part of why, you don't want to twist things too much here to get where you want to be, but I do think that there is a very easy, logical look at this of Jay mentioned it, as why some people are doubting Boston, who they've played. They really haven't gotten, the pressure from some of these opponents that maybe is going to be forcing them to really put the foot on the gas right off the bat. This is the finals now. This is the best opponent they're going to have played. So if you're looking at it like that, I do think there's a little bit more pressure there for them to come out, all things firing. They've had the rest. The rest thing is always one that I find kind of funny. I think most people have said it kind of nets out to basically nothing. There's like not really, it's mostly noise. There's no signal on either side of that. So I do like them in the first half. I like them on the spread overall. I think you mentioned you like it to 8. I know Fiddle has mentioned that 7 is a decent number. So I think 6.5 is a key number to get here, but I don't think it's moving off that. It's been sitting there for days. So unless there's injury news last second, you should be good to be able to get 6.5. And it's really, Brandon mentioned it on the preview pod, but game one's the last, I think is it this century? I guess the last 19 years are 16-3 against the spread, the home game one favorite. So it's really, really a strong trend there that I've tried to talk myself into Boston. We've been in the Slack about it all week. I want to fade Boston. I really do, but I think this matchup really fits well for them. And this game one spot, you get up game one in the finals. It really does tend to go towards this sends the series your way. So I wanted to be on Dallas, but with the matchup as is, and with the home court favorite here in game one, I'm landing on Boston.
Yeah, man. So in the Action Network app, we've got 69% of the tickets, nice, on Boston, and 79% of the money. But we're tracking sharp action on Celtics. And so what this kind of tells you is like we're at a stalemate. So early, Jay, would you agree with this? In my opinion, and this tracks for NFL as well, the sharps hit early when the lines first come out when they find something soft, and they come in late after the public money has pushed it in a particular direction. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, I think so, and I do think the sharps are. I mean, it doesn't really matter sharp in public or whatever you say, but for everything that I'm seeing, I see the public and like most popular bets are on the Mavs here, like taking the points and on the money line. I think the Celtics are the sharp side. I just want to go back on one thing that I say because I don't want to give men's info. Tatum only had 23 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists in the second game versus Indiana. Every other game, so he's 8-1, had 81 to the double and over his rebounds. That's versus the Pacers and versus the Cavs as well. So game 2 versus the Pacers, he did not go over his rebounds or get 7+. But every other game in the NBA playoffs this year, he's had 7 or more rebounds, and then that was the only game that he had less than 7 and didn't get the double in the last 9 games as well.
Okay. Going back to the spread on this, I do think it's like, to me, that's how my read is the sharps jumped on this. Big money came in early that moved the books, however you want to say it. Bets came in from specific people that moved this line to 6.5, and there was a 7 that bounced in there at one point. The volume and public have staked their position on Dallas. I talked to a couple bookmakers, and this is gonna be an article on Action, and the indication that they gave me, and like some were very defiant. They were like, "No, this is a perfectly appropriate spread for this series," and I'm kind of looking at them like, "Is it though?" Because this is a 5 seed versus one of the teams that had the best records in NBA history. Like, I get it, and one bookmaker was like, look, there's a perception gap. The Mavericks went through the Wolves that beat Denver. They went through OKC. They beat 350-win teams, and Boston hasn't beaten anybody. And I asked, was it more upgrade on Dallas or downgrade on Boston? And they said it's more of an upgrade on Dallas. And that to me is really kind of what this gets into, is if you look at the playoffs and you're just like, yeah, man, like the Mavericks have proved it. Like, this is an elite team. I'm not making fun of that. I'm serious. If that's where you get to, you should bet Dallas, or at least not bet on Boston, or not bet this game, because that's where this is being priced. If you're like me and you have this modeled at 8, and I don't look at the Mavericks performance and get like, the Mavericks performance makes sense to me because every round of the playoffs, I was like, I lost on OKC over Dallas in round 2 because I said it was shot variance. It was. The Thunder missed open threes. The Mavericks made them. That's sports. It wasn't like luck. It's just like that's how sports goes sometimes. But I don't find Dallas to be incredibly above the rest of the Western Conference fold. I think they would have lost to Denver. And so from that perspective, like, I don't think this line's accurate. I think this should be closer. This should be at least be 7.5. I'm fine with 7.5. I would not be like, ooh. But at 6, I bet at 5.5. I got to bet it at 6.5 based off of where this is at. I do think that's, and I'm fine with being on the sharp side of this. And if the Mavs do it, then that's fine. And we'll see kind of what happens. I have not done a game 1 series best bet, though I am on Celtics for the series. Let's do a same game parlay before we get out of here. So if we do Boston first half, Boston minus 6.5, Jason Tatum over 5.5 assists, we get to plus 280. I would love to add in a Tatum rebounding prop here, Jay, but as I mentioned, 7+ is minus 1,600. Doesn't really help us that much.
I like the over 9.5 for game 1.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah, me too, actually. Yeah, what does that get us?
You got to start, Jim. We have to start off with a double-double, right? Or if
it's dead after game 1, that's depressing, man. That's depressing. We got to at least get a game 1.
Okay, so over 5.5 assists, over 9.5 rebounds for Tatum. We'll leave points alone. Boston minus 6.5 and first half money line Celtics. I don't want to mess with the spread, Jim. I think that's always dangerous when we get into that. That's plus 550. That's a 4-leg parlay plus 550. Okay. All right. I'm excited for Jason Tatum to have one of the worst games of his career and the Mavericks win by 15. All right. So we'll do that. The official bucket same game parlay at BetMGM. Celtics minus 6.5. First half money line Celtics. Tatum over 5.5 assists. Tatum over 9.5 rebounds. That's your same game parlay plus 550 at BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. My thanks to David Payne, our producer. My thanks to Jay Money. You can find him on his Twitter and YouTube at JMoneyIsMoney, as well as Jim Turvey at Turvey Bets. You can find him on our WNBA Buckets feed, which is having a great start to the season. You need to go check that out. It's absolutely phenomenal. But thanks to Hutton Jackson, the video crew. You can catch me on Buckets Live after game 1. This is the last Buckets I'm doing before the finals. I've only done, I think, 6 of them. So, good for us. Make sure you check out the content on actionnetwork.com. Nothing But Bet as well. You can find on youtube.com/The Action Network on Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.